Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for your advanced look at the final Romnibus. That's right, today we're going to be looking at ROM, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 3 from Marvel Comics. So let's go ahead and get started. Before getting started, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this omnibus. And what we're looking at here is the standard edition cover over here on the left-hand side. This is the one by P. Craig Russell. And on the right-hand side is the direct market cover. And that one is, of course, by the legendary Bill Sienkiewicz. Now, since I have two, like I always like to do, is give one away. So I'll be giving the P. Craig Russell Standard Edition cover away. Or not the cover, the whole book. It's still sealed. And just keep watching to find out how you can enter the contest. And a big thank you to all of you that have been watching our videos and sharing them. And even if you didn't win the big 100,000 subscriber giveaway, I always like to give away things here from now and then. And sometimes I just randomly like to give it away to somebody that comments on our videos. All right. So, here we have, yes, the P. Craig Russell cover, who did a lot of the inks inside of the book. And then, of course, Bill Sienkiewicz, who actually did some inks as well. Let's look at the difference in the spines. You have Marvel Omnibus, ROM, the original Marvel Years, Volume 3. And I love that ROM is giving the thumbs up. That's awesome. Mantlo, Buscema, and Ditko, and then you have ROM right there with his lady friend Starshine, who plays a big part, and I mean a big part in this volume. And then the back of the book, which should be identical if I'm not mistaken. All Out War, boy, that's an understatement, really. And then you have the Hasbro logo, the Marvel logo, ISBN, all of the covers here in the neutralizer right there. Covering some of the covers. I like that this is popping out, even though his leg is behind the covers. And then the price of the book with the ISBN is $125. There's that frame again that we have seen used since Volume 1, so it is very consistent. Now, let's get this out of the way, because everything underneath the dust jacket is identical. So, underneath the dust jacket, there you go. It's the P. Craig Russell cover. And then the epic climax of Marvel's classic saga. And then the creators right here. Bill Mantlo, Sal Buscema, and Steve Ditko. And let's look at the spine. So it's the spine of the... It's different, actually, than the standard edition. I thought it was the standard edition spine. And then this piece right here from... I think this is the big battle from issue number 66. All right. We are going to crack this book open, talk about the stories found in here, and share this wonderful artwork with all the extras and the goodies that is collected in the final Romnibus. Okay, let's go ahead and get this final volume opened. You have your black end sheets there and your title page, ROM. I love that he's just popping out of there. There's no room for the original Marvel Years, just ROM. And the credits. Now, something to note here about the credits are this list right here of phenomenal talent that you are probably familiar with, whether it's their pencils or their finishes or their inks. But you have people in here like Tom Palmer, Bob Layton, John Byrne, Joe Sinnott, Al Milgrom, P. Craig Russell, Brett Breeding. That is just crazy. And then a little bit of Bill Sienkiewicz and Kelly Jones. And then, of course, your pencilers here, Sal Buscema, and then Mark Bright, but Steve Ditko coming in and finishing out the series with William Johnson doing the annual. And of course, all written by Bill Mantlo. Your colors over here like Ben Shawn and Petra Scatesi, Glynis Oliver, just to name a few, Janice Chang and Phil Felix, Kevin Nolan doing some of the lettering, and Joe Rosen doing some of the lettering. Your table of contents right here, where the issue originated from, what the title of the issue is, and when it premiered. So we are talking about the ending of ROM. And there is a forward here by Chris Real, who was, of course, in charge of IDW, and himself had written ROM comics for IDW, but they're taken out of continuity because they're not really part of the Marvel universe. They're not the story of Terminator or Brandy or those characters. So collected in here for the very first time is ROM 51 to 75, Annuals 3 and 4, and Incredible Hulk. That's crazy. Incredible Hulk issue 296, only in this collection. And that is, of course, the Bill Mantlo run with Sal Buscema on artwork. This book has 752 pages and retails for $125. Now, if you haven't read volumes 1 and 2 and you're, for some reason, just wanting to get into volume 3, can it still be done? I think so, yeah. As a matter of fact, issue number 51 recaps a lot of what happened previously. But I'm going to go ahead and say spoilers for what happened previously and a little bit of the premise of this book, just so you have an understanding as to what this is. All right. In the previous volumes, Brandy and the character of Starshine become one. Something happened to Starshine. I'm not going to get into details as to what happened, but Brandy is now wearing that armor, and she's bonded to the armor. Now, in issue number 50, there was a huge battle between the Dire Wraiths and Earth. Mainly the town of Claritin that gets attacked, and it is destroyed. And a lot of characters died in that issue. A lot of Brandy's family and friends, and she's left alone. So this issue is all about how Starshine is getting revenge and wants to seek revenge no matter what and destroy all the Dire Wraiths. There's a beautiful funeral here. And then Rom eventually, what he does is tell the origin to the newscasters of his battle with the Dire Wraiths that has lasted 200 years. How the Prime Director made them in the Space Knights. How he volunteered. How he was the first one and left Reyna by herself to become the first Space Knight. He gave away his humanity. And then, of course, the twists and turns that happened when he went back to Galador, which I'm not going to get into because I really want people to read these stories for the first time and enjoy them. So this is really the turning point for the ROM comic because it's an all-out war. He has declared an all-out war on national broadcast news that he's going to destroy the Dire Wraiths, that they're out there. Now, by the way, I love this right here. Total War. Look at the lettering. That is just awesome. Yes, so the military gets involved. So we're introduced to a new character. It's General Meriwether Lachlan, who is kind of like your Thunderbolt Ross, but I guess not really. He's a badass. But doesn't really question a lot of ROM in his methods. He just wants to get rid of these Dire Wraiths. So we're introduced to him and, of course, his military branch and how they're putting a stop to the Dire Wraiths and what they're trying to do. So for the most part, ROM has been fighting this battle by himself. Like, it's just been him. And then eventually Earth, S.H.I.E.L.D., the military, the President of the United States, all of them get involved. And they want to take out the Dire Wraiths. This is where the call goes out to all of the heroes to get involved. So it's like I guess in a way, it's like a world tour of ROM going around and destroying Dire Wraiths, including issue 296 of The Incredible Hulk. Him and Starshine end up accidentally reading these energy readings that they thought were Dire Wraiths, but it turns out to be gamma rays. And this is when Hulk was trying to treat people that were sick with gamma rays and accidentally turning them into Hulks. This is also the character of Kate right here, who he was dating at the time. And honestly, Kate Wainsworth, I forgot that she was such a big, crucial part during this era of the Hulk. And it's so weird that it has never been collected in complete collections, in epic collections, in Masterworks, because it's the whole ROM license, right? But that is in here for the first time, and here we have some more Dire Wraiths going into the sewers, and it is really, like I said, a who's who of people that are coming to help ROM. Now, not only do you get appearances of superheroes, but you also get the greatest sidekick, and that is Rick Jones. Rick Jones, like, ends up becoming a big part of the supporting cast here, and having not read this in, oh my gosh, 2 decades, 3 decades, I forgot about that. And I forgot how important of a part he plays. Because of the gamma radiation, he's dealing with cancer. So the Dire Wraiths are trying to expand their big empire in different ways and formats that they've never done before. So while Rick Jones is getting treated for cancer at a hospital, Dire Wraiths kind of invade his hospital bed and invade a lot of the patients and making them drink like this Dire Wraith potion. But it's like a big battle at the hospital. It gets really dark. Like, there are things the Dire Wraiths are doing that you're like, damn, that is messed up, because they want to conquer Earth. This, I believe, is the Alpha Flight story right here, where they end up going to Ontario to again fight off some different types of Dire Wraiths. And it's one story that leads into the next. It is an all-out war. This is the Beaver Lake, if I'm not mistaken, storyline still taking place up there, but Ant-Man shows up. So one battle with the Dire Wraith leads into the next, and you get a bunch of guest stars, and you get to see him dealing with different types of Dire Wraiths and getting the help of the Marvel Universe. This really feels like an event type of comic. Like, there's a big Dire Wraith battle happening, and for those of you that have been collecting like X-Men Omnis or Avengers in Epic Collection, it kind of is, because we do see the Dire Wraiths appear in issues of Avengers, and we do see the Dire Wraiths appear in issues of X-Men. And this is where they originated from. So if you ever wonder where these weird alien creatures that can take over or can mimic people's bodies after draining them, where they originated from, well, look none other than particular this volume of ROM. Now, there's another character that plays a big part in this, and that is the character of Cindy Adams. Cindy Adams is an orphan. Her family was killed by the Dire Wraiths, and she gets taken in by Rick Jones and somebody else here in a little bit. And this is... this is important. This is the return of Hybrid. Now, Hybrid does something here with the character of Starshine. And it's not the X-Men that get a spotlight here. It is the New Mutants that get a spotlight here, teaming up with ROM. So I thought that was cool. Let's bring the character of Hybrid back. Now, somehow Starshine ends up losing her armor and becoming just Brandy again. Forge gets involved because he's the only other person that has successfully made a neutralizer. And now the military and the US government's like, we need to make more. And ROM's like, okay, here you go. You can copy my neutralizer technology, but Earth isn't that advanced yet. So Forge gets involved. I love that my character, my boy, one of my favorite X-Men, gets involved. And I forgot about all this, honestly. Like, they get involved into making like a big, gigantic neutralizer that is going to get rid of all of the Dire Wraiths. By the time we get to issue 64, now we have Steve Ditko. By the way, Sal Buscema does end up leaving the book, but we have the phenomenal Steve Ditko. I mean, the guy that co-created Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, coming in and doing the rest of the series. P. Craig Russell supplying a lot of the early inks, like more than a handful of inks on his pencils. Now, this is when the Dire Wraiths are trying to do what is called the world merge by shadowing the Earth and trying to mimic their world and making Earth like theirs. So that leads into the huge battle that is issue 65. And this is an all-out war. It doesn't feel like an event type of comic, but it so is when the rest of the Marvel Universe is like, we're here to help ROM. And ROM's like, oh, hells yeah, man, that's awesome. But look at this. Look at this star. Now, nowadays, of course, this would be different, right? Nowadays, it'd be like a 5-issue miniseries with like multiple miniseries, and Wolverine would not be in the background back there. He'd be in the 4. As a matter of fact, the X-Men would not be back there. They'd be up here. But I just thought that was so cool how different things were back then. We're talking about a toy line, right? That made it into like a big event with the fight against the Dire Wraiths. Now, I don't want to spoil how this happens, but ROM does end up leaving Earth again. Like, he needs to get rid of Dire Wraiths all around the universe. It's not just Earth. So there's a couple stories here that he just goes into different planets and not really dealing with the Dire Wraiths. Oh, by the way, one other thing I forgot to note that I thought was really cool, that they didn't have to do this, but I'm so glad they did, is that in the issue of the Incredible Hulk that's collected in here, look at this. This is so cool. Issue 296, we get the letter page collected from that Incredible Hulk issue. That's freaking awesome. I'm so glad they did that. They didn't have to, but I'm glad they did. Yeah, all the letter pages are intact. The letter pages are funny when you're reading them because it's like, does ROM fight anyone other than the Dire Wraiths? Can you have this guy please fight someone else? And eventually he does. Now, he does end up trying to go back to his planet and taking care of the things there. And it's changed because the last few storylines, and Annual number 4 plays an important part in all this. So we have newer characters like Trapper and Seeker and Scanner. He does end up meeting up some new Space Knights, and eventually the Shi'ar Guard get involved, and the Imperial Guard get involved, and the Imperial Guard is kind of the reason why he ends up going back to Galador. Now, what I love about this, yes, also Ego, the living planet, who was actually siphoning the energy off of some of these Space Knights like Seeker and Scanner there. What I love about this is that not only do you get to see, you know, his adventures in space when he leaves Earth, but we keep going back to this, like, family of Rick Jones and Brandy and Cindy. And something changes. And I don't want to spoil what happens with the rest of the issues. This is the annual right here. But something happens in issue, I think it's issue 73, if I'm not mistaken. 72. Because it's a tie-in with the Secret Wars 2. And there is no ROM in this. It's basically just the story of Brandy and Rick and Cindy and the Beyonder. And they're meeting with the Beyonder and what that could mean. Now, does the series have a happy ending? Does ROM die? Does ROM get his humanity back? Does he end up with Brandy? What ends up happening to these characters? What about Cindy? What about Rick Jones? What about the cancer he was fighting? I'm not going to spoil that, but I will say that this does have an ending. It has a definitive ending, what happens to a lot of the characters, and there's a lot of closure. Sure, there's enough stories to continue. As a matter of fact, there were some Space Knights miniseries later on, but this does have enough to just give an ending to the character of Rom the Space Knight and the Knights of Galador and Brandy and a couple of other characters here. So you will be satisfied with that. Oh, I don't know. I guess it depends on your definition of satisfaction, like if you like the ending or not. But it does have an ending. Now, all the way in the back, we have the extras right here, like the Marvel Age extra, just articles on ROM. This is David Mazzucchelli, if I'm not, yeah, and Terry Austin doing the inks for that cover. Fred Hembeck's page, and that awesome cosplay of freaking ROM. And the handbook right here of the Marvel Universe. Articles about his weapons and the different Space Knights. Don't read too much into that if you haven't read those issues of ROM. And yes, oh my gosh, the reimagining of the Dire Wraiths right here. I didn't even know about this. This is really cool. This is by Jim Kruger. And yes, the new covers that feature ROM that just came out last year are all here, or actually some of them this year too, just from different issues of Marvel Comics these days. Like this is from X-Men number 30 right here. It's so cool to see ROM on a cover. And then of course the painted covers without the logo by Bill Sienkiewicz. Original art here, Butch Guys and Steve Ditko. It's crazy to me that Steve Ditko came on board to finish out this title. And then your end sheets. Now, as far as the build, so actually, before we talk about the binding, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, you said there was a contest. There is, yes. And how to enter? Easy. All you got to do in the comments is just write your first ROM comic or your first comic book in general. It doesn't have to be Marvel Comics. You just have to be a subscriber. Hit that like button, please. That does mean the world to us here on the channel. And that contest will be opened until November 8th, Friday, November 8th. At midnight, and then I'll announce the winner on the Saturday live stream on Saturday, November 9th at 11 a.m. Well, that's when the live stream starts. I'll announce it sometime there. Now let's talk about the build and the binding. 752 pages and printed at the iMac printer. It is sewn binding. And I will say, that's a pretty damn big eye for an iMac printer, especially with a page count like this. So let's actually look at, I actually have some examples of the way the book lays over here towards the beginning, where you have Total War right here. So there is minimal gutter loss, but honestly, for an iMac printer, that's pretty pretty good. There is still bleed through happening, especially when there's whites or light colors. But honestly, we've seen that at Mega Print. We've seen that at Donley printers, and it looks better than it used to. The paper stock they're using here is thicker than that of like the JMS Spider-Man Volume 1. And here's another example of spread pages. But that is it. Ends the ROM saga at Marvel. Hopefully we'll see some more, and hopefully we'll see some more licensed characters or series coming out in omnibus format. But for now, that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcon at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these books. Well, one of them. The other one, I assume, is identical underneath the dust jacket. Now, don't forget, the contest is open until next Friday, November 8th of 2024 at midnight. And I will be announcing the winners on our Saturday live stream, November 9th. Or the winner, I'm sorry. But good luck. And you know I love giving things away. Everybody, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.